So if this is your first time here, I'm really excited to let you know that we're going to have a draw at the end for some free prizes. And if you have brought or invited someone to come with you, then and that it's their first time here at the show, you will both get your names in the draw for some prizes at the end. So make sure you stay to the end because you might have a chance to go home with some free food. So I'm really excited about that. And we encourage people to bring friends so they can come and learn. We like to cook from the monthly specials every month. There's always new specials every month, and we like to cook with those items. So that's where you're going to get some of your ideas today. So first of all, do you prepare delicious meals every single night? Let's see a hands up with anyone who actually spends all that time preparing delicious meals every night. Nice. There's a few of you. I see that. That's awesome. I like to think that I would try, but sometimes we don't because we're either too tired or we had moldy ingredients or we just don't feel like cooking. And so tell me honestly, has anyone had one of these items in the last week? There's some McDonald's, mac and cheese, maybe a peanut butter and jam sandwich. Has anyone had any of those in the last week? Okay, well, sometimes we turn to those, we need something quick, but we're going to show you some ways to make healthier meals really quick. So we today will show you 5 reasons why Thrive will help make your life better. We're going to go through all of those things and teach you just a few things. So we will start out with Kathryn. Kathryn is one of our chefs today, and she's going to share with you I'll turn it over to you and we'll find out. And remember, everyone stay muted until the end. Sorry, I just had to sneak that in.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here today. I am going to be making a shepherd's pie, and I'm going to be using a whole bunch of ingredients. Some of them are freeze-dried. A lot of them are freeze-dried because of the convenience. And as I make it, I'll kind of describe and explain why I'm choosing these things. So to start with, I'm going to just turn my camera down a little bit and show you some of this food, because I have a lot of ingredients to try to deal with quickly to show you this whole recipe. So I'm going to start with some cheddar cheese, and this is freeze-dried. Now I like this because if I get a block of cheese from the store, it goes moldy pretty quickly. So this will stay good for a very, very long time. But I do need to refresh it because it is dry. It's nice to snack on like this, but I do need to refresh it. So I'm just adding a little bit of cold water. And you don't need a lot, but then you just kind of need to shake it up, tumble it around. Need to make sure there is enough. Maybe add a little bit more. And then I'm just going to let this sit while I get the rest of the shepherd's pie together. And I'm going to top the whole shepherd's pie with some cheese. So that's just going to sit on the side. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water to my pan here. So this is about 2 cups. Now, you can assemble your shepherd's pie however you want, but I decided to do it this way. So I'm actually going to start with the gravy. So this is one of the best gravy mixes. This is the Espanol. And I'm just going to mix it with it's the gravy mix, but beef gravy. It is really delicious. It saves so much time in the kitchen. You don't know where to start with what to get. With Thrive Life ingredients, this is a great staple for your kitchen. So I'm just going to turn the heat on now. And I'm going to add carrots. So I have dehydrated carrots. They're different than freeze-dried. But I have these too because actually carrots can go bad in my fridge or my pantry, and all of a sudden they're like kind of rubbery or growing things on them I don't want. So I'm just going to mix them in there and let them hydrate. I'm also going to add some peas. So I really like having peas as a side for a lot of my meals, but this is great for a shepherd's pie. You could add any vegetables you want. You could have green beans, but I'm going to have carrots and cheese. And those are going to refresh in the gravy. And I'm going to add more liquid along the way. You can kind of eyeball it if you want. Now, I already had some ground beef. You can use any kind of meat you want, but I have ground beef that I already cooked up. But if you don't have ground beef handy, you can have freeze-dried ground beef. And this is what that looks like. It's actually really good. It's already cooked. It saves so much time to have that. But I do happen to have beef that I did cook this morning. So I'm just going to add some of that in. So this is going to be the base to my shepherd's pie. You can see the peas have brightened up. They're a lot more green, and the carrots are starting to come to life there. Now we don't freeze dry carrots right now because it takes the color out of them, but we do have the dehydrated ones. Maybe a little bit more. So that's going to be my base. Okay, and then I also want to add some onions. So these are freeze-dried onions. So sometimes onions will go soft and goopy if I don't deal with them right away. I like these because they stay good for a very long time. I don't have to worry about my eyes tearing up if I'm chopping them. And I don't have to worry about cutting my fingers. It's already chopped for me. So it's so convenient. I'm not crying at all right now, but it's adding amazing flavor to my shepherd's pie. So I think I actually want to add a little bit more gravy mix. I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit more powder of the Espanol and a little bit more water. So you can't really go wrong with these ingredients. So really just give it a try and realize how easy it is to use. Okay, so that is my base. Now we're going to make some potatoes really quick. So I'm just going to turn the camera a little bit. Okay, over to here. This is how I do my potatoes. And it might be different for other people, but in here, I have a whole bunch of, turn that heat off, a whole bunch of potato flakes. They're just potatoes, nothing else. This saves me so much time. I don't have to wash, peel, and chop, and boil, and mash potatoes. This is already done. However, this is plain potatoes, so I need to add some things. So I'm going to add some butter powder. And I'm going to add some sour cream powder. Then I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder. You can have it just plain too. You don't have to add extra stuff. Depends what you want. And then I'm going to add some salt. So just sprinkle it in. And then the magic happens. I use a kettle. So just my trusty little kettle. and I just pour it in. And I just pour in enough water to make the potatoes the consistency that I want. So I'm going to need more. And I just keep adding more water. So a shepherd's pie kind of has a lot of steps, but when I'm using freeze-dried ingredients, it's really simple. It only takes a few minutes. So some people cook their potatoes on the stove, like they boil the water in a pan and then they add the potato flakes, but this is the way I do it. Still some flakes at the bottom. And actually this has become a big staple in my home. I use it all the time. I use it for my Thanksgiving dinners. I use it for Christmas dinner, Easter dinner. I use it Sunday meals. I even used it for my son's wedding reception. And people absolutely love the potatoes. All right. So that's starting to come together. So I'm actually making the shepherd's pie for a potluck tonight. We have a family history potluck. We're supposed to make something from our heritage. So this is what I'm bringing for my English heritage. So I'm happy to share this with all my friends. Okay, so now we're going to put this in my casserole dish. I'll just grab that.
As you're grabbing that, Karen, I love that you didn't have to peel a thing. You tossed it right from the can so fast. Like shepherd's pie usually takes a long time to boil all those potatoes and peel all those carrots.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Really quick. So I'm just going to add some of the meat mixture to the bottom. Remember, it already has a gravy and everything in it. And you know what? I think I might still add a little bit more liquid. Might seem weird. Why add water? My husband would say, you're going to lose the flavor, but no, not with this. I just want to make sure there's enough liquid and that all that gravy is thin enough. I don't want it too thick. A little bit more.
As you go, you just adjust the recipe as you go. It's really not rocket science. It doesn't have to be exact. It's a perfect example of that.
So you can see how big some of the carrots are already. So they've already refreshed. And now I'm going to put the potatoes on. So I'm almost done here. Now you could pipe the potatoes if you wanted to make it really fancy, but I'm just gonna spread them on top. And this could easily feed a family of 6 or more. And so once I get all the potatoes on, then I'm going to just sprinkle on some cheese. And then I'll pop it in the oven at about 350 for about 40 minutes or until it's bubbly. Like everything in here is cooked. You could eat it right now if you needed to, but we typically just cook it all together, let those flavors infuse together. Oh, that part didn't get, still some flakes there.
So once you get that topped with cheese and then baked, will we be able to, I don't know if it'll be done by the time at the end, but I'd love to see that once it's all done.
Yeah, I'll take a picture and I'll be happy to share it for sure. So it's a little potato skin in there. All right, so this is my shepherd's pie. I'm gonna check on that cheese. So take a look at that. So it's pretty soft now. So I can just sprinkle this on top, just for a little garnish. Just, you gotta finish it off to make it look perfect, right? So yeah, so that's quickly just putting it together. But this is my shepherd's pie, and this is how I really like it. So I hope you'll give it a try and let me know how you like it.
Thank you, Karen. That looks awesome. And I love how convenient that was. And I like that you don't have to cook 100% with Thrive. You use whatever leftover ingredients you have, incorporate some Thrive, and it's so great. You did awesome. That looks so good. Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next is myself. I'm going to talk a little bit about the quality and the nutrition about the food. And I'll share with you a few things that I think is really cool. I like that eating from our Thrive cans a lot of times can be healthier than the fresh from the grocery store. So first of all, I'm going to start with showing you our different size cans. Now, this is our family size can, and this is our pantry size can. So you can fit 3 pantry cans into 1 family size can, okay? And the thing that I like about the pantry cans is when they're brand new, they have a little snap top lid. So it's really easy. You just pop it open and you don't need a can opener. So they're great for your camper and your pantry shelves because it's a little bit smaller and a little bit more convenient that way. But I also like to buy in bulk because I go through these items a lot. And what I really like is if you can see the ingredients, it's just simple, clean ingredients. There's only one ingredient in this, and it's strawberries, which is so great. Now, the reason why we don't have to complicate things in our can, and there's no added salt, sugars, preservatives, none of that in here. Now, it's because when we pick our produce, it's at the peak of ripeness, which in turn has more color, flavor, and nutrition. Then it's flash frozen within a couple hours after picking, and then freeze dried and put into our cans. Now, because of that process, if you compare that to fresh from the grocery store, you have fresh produce from the grocery store that is picked green so that it can last as it travels to the grocery store. And it's sometimes a week to 2 weeks by the time it hits the grocery store shelf. So with that, it's nice to know that we don't lose any of that nutrient. So for strawberries, for example, because of it being picked right, we have 82% more phytonutrients in our strawberries than the fresh you would get at the grocery store. We also have what's called this Nutri-Lock symbol. I'm just going to show you here. This is our Nutri-Lock symbol. What that means is we go through a 40-step process to ensure the highest quality, taste, and nutrition are in our food. So you're getting nothing but quality in the can. And just so you know, our strawberries retain a lot more antioxidants and fiber just because of the freeze-dry process. So I'm going to start cooking. I'm actually going to make a smoothie. This is a go-to for me that I love, and it's super easy. Now, a lot of times I will open my can and I will snack right from the can. That's what it looks like. The strawberries are awesome. They're huge. You can see it's like full of color. Now, I'm just going to sneak this in here because I made hot fudge. And sorry, I mean, strawberries and chocolate are the best thing ever. Can you see that? Chocolate hot fudge with strawberries. Sorry, I have to tease you, but that is amazing. Okay, so I have my blender here, and this is just to show you how easy it can be. I'm going to start with some ice. That's probably good. And I'm going to throw in some cottage cheese. Now, my family, they don't really like cottage cheese, but it has lots of protein, and I like it to sneak it in wherever I can. They don't even notice it's there. I will add just a little bit of milk. I like to add a little liquid just because I'm adding the liquid that the strawberries don't have, okay? And I'll sprinkle in what I feel like, and I want it really strawberry, so I just dump that in. Now, I find You don't have to add any sweetness. That strawberry was sweet as is. But I really like to flavor with a little bit of vanilla. And I have a little vanilla stevia that I really like to add. And that vanilla just adds a creaminess that I just can't describe. So that's all. I don't have to refresh my strawberries beforehand. I throw it all in. I sometimes sprinkle in spinach into here or any berries that I have, and I just love it that way. But today I'm just doing straight strawberries so I can show you how awesome and fast this is. So it might be loud, so I'll just be one quick second to blitz this. Okay, I still have a chunk. Give me a second. Okay, well, if there's a chunk, it's only me who's gonna drink it. So I'll tilt this so you could just have a look at what I'm doing. I should get a smaller cup. There we go. So I did it a little bit thick. I actually sometimes even like to throw it with a spoon. Okay, this is really thick. See, I should have added more liquid, but I'm not. But you can see that once that ice melts a little bit, it'll be perfect. Sorry.
You can eat it with a spoon. You can call it a freezy.
There we go, and I'll do that. Spoon.
Or a smoothie bowl. Yeah, Jara.
So good. Sorry, I need to show you that this tastes delicious. And you don't even taste the cottage cheese, I promise. High in protein, quick snack. You could eat it with a spoon, add any fruit you want, and it's done in minutes, which is so fast. Now, just so you know, with our food, you can make you could do lots of things. I showed you the pantry can and the family can, but we also have meal pouches. I just want to show you that. These are amazing, and they have a 20-year shelf life. And you can make meals in a jar as well with the items that we have. I do this sometimes when I just need a quick meal for my family. I have my meal, all the ingredients are there, the sauce is in the bottom, super easy. So just some different things that might give you some ideas of how to use the food as well. So know that it's nutritious, it's delicious, and it's convenient fast food. So I will turn the time over now to Cindy, and she's going to share with us a few things.
Okay, I guess we should have some sound. I am I'm starting with some refried beans, and I'm going to make some Cinco de Mayo dip, layer dip. Okay, so these are our beans, and like Karen said, they're so easy to open up. So I have got, while I was waiting, I took some onions and some garlic, and I sauteed them in a little bit of oil. So I'm going to put this down. Kathy, you're going to have to tell me.
Looks good.
What is it like? You're good? Okay. All right, so I've got some sauteing in a little bit of oil, and I like to do that ahead of time. Be really, really, really careful. You saw those onions that Karen showed you. They will burn so easy. Ask me how I know that, especially when you're sauteing. So just be really careful. Do it over low heat so that you don't burn them, because they're small and they burn real quick. I'm going to just start with now that I've got them in there nicely toasted and absorbing some of that oil, then I'm just going to put in, I don't know, let's say a cup or so of beans, and then I'm going to immediately, so these are refried beans that are cooked and then freeze dried. I don't know if they're freeze dried or dried, but anyway, so I'm just going to put some water in, more water than you think, because they're going to absorb a lot of that water. And the nice thing about that is if you put in too much water, you can always put in some more beans. So let me just get a plate that I can put my dirty utensils on. Okay, so while that is cooking, or while that is thickening up, and I'm just going to try and keep my eyes on it, then I am going to layer some, and I tried to pick something that you could see through so we could see the layers. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the layers are going to be, so I'm just going to be able to put them in. I'm going to start with refried beans with some cheese on top. And like Karen, I refreshed my cheese. So what I've got in this mixture, I actually did this last night because this fit with the meal I made last night. So I have got cheddar cheese in here, mozzarella cheese in here, pepper jack cheese in here. And it's so easy to refresh. And then once it's refreshed, you just put it in your fridge and act like it's real cheese. So it will eventually spoil just like normal cheese because it is normal cheese. You just refresh whatever you think that you're going to need. So just a minute, I got to stir this again. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do any more because I just want a layer of that. But I am going to put in, so these are peppers. These are chili peppers. They're not super hot, but they do add a little bit of pizzazz. And we really like that. So I'm going to just put in quite a bit in there. And then just stir that in. Okay, so also one of my layers is cream cheese and sour cream, just the same as what Karen did. Thank you, Karen. I put some sour cream powder in there. If you had sour cream, go ahead and put in sour cream. My thing is I hate wasting anything. And if I buy fresh sour cream for some project or whatever I want to do, then I always think I have sour cream in the fridge. But in actual fact, after a very short amount of time, I don't have sour cream in the fridge. I have moldy sour cream in the fridge. So I really, really like it when I can just take it out of the can, use it when I need, and it never, ever goes bad. Now I'm going to just put a little bit of salt and pepper in here, about just under a half a teaspoon of salt and about the same amount of pepper. Okay, so that's getting a little bit dry. I'm going to put in just a little bit more water. Now you noticed in my cream cheese mix that it was green because I am a sucker for spinach. And I put spinach in everything that I can reasonably put spinach in. And it's just so, if I was using fresh spinach from the garden or from the store, which I never buy anymore anyway, but if I was, that would take, well, first of all, I wouldn't, because then I would have to I would have to steam it and chop it all up and then strain it. And that's just, I just wouldn't, that's too much work. So just a little bit of water in there so that it's a little bit more spreadable, because that spinach made it a little drier.
And to mention too, spinach doesn't last very long in your fridge. When you have a bag of spinach, half of it's going moldy and slimy. I've always wasted it until Thrive.
Yep, that's exactly true. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. I used to play a game. How long or how much can I use up before it gets slimy? And sometimes I won and sometimes I didn't win. Okay, I just turned the heat off. That's good. So I'm going to take my pan. Can you see that? It's right there. Is that a good spot?
Perfect.
Okay. Get rid of my water. I don't need that anymore. All right, so I'm just going to put a layer of that. We love refried beans. And back in the day, before these kind of things were available, I would soak the beans, then I would cook the beans, then whatever was left over, I would puree them, and then that would be our refried beans. Well, you need to know 2 days in advance that you want refried beans when you do it that way. And then I used to buy it in the can from the store, but it's so expensive. I don't even remember what they were, but I remember I was shocked. So I'm just going to put the cheese right over top because I know it's going to melt. And that's exactly what I want, is I want it nicely melted. So once I've done that, then I'm going to just put in some of our cream cheese and spread that around. You know what I really like? First of all, I never waste spinach anymore. I never waste cream cheese anymore. I mean, not cream cheese, sour cream anymore. Those are big pluses in my books. But what I also really like is at the end of the day, do you know what I'm washing for dishes? I'm washing these dishes that aren't even really dirty. I don't have messes the way that I used to when it was, and it didn't take me half the day to get everything all ready before I started putting things together. Like that's a big plus in my books too. Ironic, my kids are gone and I have a little bit more time and I'm doing stuff that doesn't take as much time. I could have used this when my kids were little.
You know, I never thought to put the cheese like that in my 7-layer dip. I love that idea. I've always just done like the beans and sour cream, but this is a new twist that I never thought of before. This is awesome.
Well, if I was just going to make beans, like refried beans for the sake of refried beans, which I just made a couple of days ago, then I would put the cheese on top in that pot, put the lid on it. I wouldn't even refresh it actually. I would put the cheese on top with the lid, and the steam and the moisture from the beans will refresh the cheese. And then I just put it on the table, and when we're ready to eat, then it's all ready for us. Okay, so that's good enough. I am gonna, from there, I'm gonna put on some guacamole, which I happened to have. We don't, Thrive doesn't have any guacamole. We used to, right, Tracy? But I happened to find this on sale not that long ago, and I bought a whole bunch and I froze it. That was a happy day for me because now I have guacamole whenever I want it and I don't have to worry about making it. Okay, so I'm gonna just leave a little corner because I also have some roasted red pepper hummus that I want to finish using.
Cindy, did you say you froze your guacamole?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could freeze it. I always thought it'd be watery and brown.
You know what? It freezes beautifully. A friend told me that a long time ago. It freezes beautifully. When you thaw that out, it is as if it was fresh. It's amazing. Okay, so this is hummus. And I didn't have enough to use it everywhere, but I'm going to just put it in a corner. We like hummus in our house, but I have this little bit of hummus left and I just want to use it up. Okay, so that's my green and red. Okay. So from there, I'm going to put in some corn, and the corn, I'm not refreshing anything. I kind of like it crunchy. It's not going to stay crunchy anyway. It is going to refresh in the moisture that's here. By the time we eat it, it's mostly going to be soft. But if it wasn't soft, I would be happy because I kind of like it crunchy anyway. So we'll just put that on there. And then I'm going to put the salsa on, and the salsa will help to refresh that corn. So we'll just put a few spoonfuls all over and then I'll spread it around. You know, this is kind of a meal that I used to have in the summer when everything was fresh. And now, like fresh from the garden, I mean, like the tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. But most of what I'm putting in here, I'm going to have in my kitchen all the time anyway. So we'll just put the salsa on top. So that corn is for sure going to be refreshed with that salsa on top of that. And then from there, I'm going to put in, now I happened to have one leftover. I bought 2 red peppers just as a treat a little while ago, and I had half a pepper left. So I'm going to put the pepper on top, but it's not going to be enough. But lucky me, you know what? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. If you have something in your fridge that you want to use up, then go ahead and use it. And if you don't, then don't worry about it because you've always got it in your pantry. I've got some red peppers here. And then I'm just going to fill in the empty spots with the red peppers. Can you see those? Those are so beautiful. And they're so sweet and delicious. Okay, and I also have some cucumbers. So I bought some cucumbers not that long ago, and these are leftovers. So I just chopped them up, and I'm going to put that on the top. If I didn't have any fresh cucumbers, then I would use freeze-dried cucumbers, which I love. and my grandkids love them. They'll sit down and have them as a snack at the table, actually. You can't walk around when you're eating cucumbers because they're so small, they'll drop them all over the floor. So that's against the rules. You know, the key is put your lid on. As soon as you open the can, take what you need, get the lid on. The moisture from the air is the enemy to whatever happens to be inside. And you don't want to waste any of that. Okay, once that's all done, then I'm putting on cabbage. Now, normally I might put on chopped lettuce. I don't have any lettuce right now, but I do have some cabbage. So I'm just going to put, and I'm not going to put a ton on, but I do want it nice and crunchy and fresh and cool on the very top. So I'll just cover up everything. And that's it. And you know what you do with this, right? First of all, can you, I don't know, I don't want to tip it. Can you see the lines?
Let's see it. Yeah, it looks good.
You can. Okay, great. Then I would just put that, I don't know, how long did that take me to put together? Like 10 minutes maybe or less? So
Yes.
supper's ready. All I really need to have on the table is some crackers or some taco chips or some sourdough bread or whatever it is that I want to serve with it. Put it on the table and we're ready to go. That's it.
Nice.
That
Thank
looks
you.
amazing, Cindy.
Oh, thank you. It is so delicious. We had this, a variation of this the other day, which is where I got the idea to put this together for you. And it is so, it's so nutritious, right? And it's just, so now I don't have any more cucumbers in my fridge. I don't have any peppers in my fridge. That's okay. I could do this tomorrow if I want.
I love
Thanks.
that. That's so great. I like the new twist on that. I never thought about doing things that way. That dip looks awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thank you, Cindy, for sharing that. We will now turn the time over to Jara and Rob. They're going to share a little something with us next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jara, and this is Rob. We're super excited to be here. We're so excited I just kicked the table. We're from Maine, and we believe in preparedness, like definitely. We believe in being prepared for anything and everything. You know, we've had all sorts of things we've had to deal with in our lives, from ice storms to blizzards to even just like those weeks, you know, years ago when we'd all of a sudden have something come up and all of a sudden like a big expense, and then we have no money for groceries that week. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? We have to just basically live off of what we have in the house. So I think that no matter who we are and where we are, like everybody's going to probably at some point in their life have something happen that they need to have food in their home for. So we believe in that strongly. So the shelf life of Thrive Life was what really originally kind of attracted us to Thrive Life. But as I started to do more and more research, and I learned, like especially the nutritional benefits and how, you know, we always thought of our food storage as being less healthy, you know, ramen and spam and all those things that we would store. And then when I found out that we could actually have something that was more healthy, not just as healthy, but more healthy, then, you know, basically I believe that short of picking something out of your very own garden and eating it in that moment, you're not going to find more nutritious food than what we have at Thrive Life. So that was kind of how we came. And then my favorite thing, my absolute favorite thing to do with the food is making meals in a jar, like Kathy showed. Like I love meals in a jar because to me that kind of just ticks so many boxes for us, just like Thrive Life food in general. It ticks all those boxes. Like we can have long-term food storage that's also healthy and convenient. So it just does everything for us in one product. So the meals in a jar is kind of also how I feel about that. Like I can put an oxygen absorber in it and I can have it be shelf stable for years, and I can have just a whole collection of them so that anytime the power is out, or, you know, I don't want to open the fridge, I don't want to have to cook anything real complicated, I just grab a jar and just add water and that's all I need. And it's got everything in it, from the you know, your protein in it, your vegetable, and maybe your fruit, if what, depending on what kind of a meal it is, and your starches, everything's there. So I absolutely love that, because not only is it good for preparedness, but it's also good for convenience. Like I can just grab something off the shelf and have a quick dinner, and then it's automatically going to keep our food rotated, because we believe in like store what you eat and eat what you store, for sure. Because if you don't follow that, then you're going to end up with a lot of waste. So so what I've started doing a lot lately is making like besides just meals in a jar, I like to do little individual size meals of different kinds, because that can help me specifically, because I eat differently than some of the other people in my family. So it can help me keep my nutrition the way it should be, whether it's an emergency or just, a day that I don't have time to cook something else for myself. So what I did today was just a really quick, now we pre-recorded our cooking part because our house is quite literally a zoo. I mean, we've got 6 dogs and we've got 2 huskies. I can literally hear them. We're hiding upstairs. I can hear them howling downstairs. So it's not, so we did pre-record this, but I like to do little individual size meals. And today I just did something really simple. That is a chia pudding, because that's something that I really like to have for it's so healthy. So that is what I did for my meal today. So we'll show this. When I do these single serving meals, I find that one of these wide mouth half pint jars is about the perfect size for these individual meals. And this is about a quarter of what you would get into a quart jar. And so we typically get about 4 servings out of a quart jar. So this is perfect. Now, chia seeds are absolutely a nutrition powerhouse. They are packed so full of nutrition. They've got all kinds of fiber. They've got the omega fatty acids. They've got some calcium, some iron, all sorts of other minerals. So I love to incorporate these in our diet, and we love to put them in smoothies, but this is another way that I like to incorporate these into my diet. And this is also going to get us some fruit and some dairy, some other things in here. This meal can be a breakfast, it can be a snack, it could even be a dessert because it's a little bit sweet, and you could make it sweeter if you wanted, and you could throw a little whipped cream on it and it would be a great dessert. But one thing I really love about this little meal is that it doesn't require any heat or any cooking, so it's appropriate for a lot more different situations than a meal that you would have to cook. So I'm going to start with some instant milk powder. This is ThriveLife's instant milk powder. I've also done this with coconut milk powder, and I've done it with like protein powder, like the kind that would make a complete shake. And those work pretty well too. I use, this is a quarter cup. I don't know if I said that, a quarter cup of the ThriveLife instant milk. And when I've done protein powder, I've done 1/8 of a cup. And when I've done coconut milk powder, I've used 1/3 of a cup. So next I'm going to go in with the chia seeds. So this is 2.5 tablespoons of the chia seeds. I find with the dairy milk, for some reason, it takes a little bit more seeds to thicken up equally than it does with those more plant-based milks and protein powders. And it takes sometimes a little bit longer to thicken up. So this is 2.5 tablespoons of the chia seeds. When I have done the other types of milk, I've used 2 tablespoons. And here I've got ThriveLife's honey crystals. This is just crystallized honey. It's a sweetener. You could use whatever sweetener you want, but I like to use the honey crystals, and that is 1 tablespoon of those. You could definitely adjust that to your preference. And then I'm going to put in some fruit. So right now I'm using raspberries because that's one of my favorite fruits, and it happens to be on sale right now, so I know that I can stock up and replenish. So this is a quarter cup of the raspberries. Look at how beautiful those raspberries are. So this is everything that I need in my jar. Now I don't even measure the water when I put it into these. I know I've got a 1/2 pint container here, so I know it's a cup, and I just fill it up to basically the bottom of the where the rings start, or the threads that you would put your rings on. And I'm going to give this a stir. What I like about these clear containers also is that it allows me to see, I can't really tip this enough for you to see, but it allows me to see into the bottom corners of the jar to make sure that I'm really stirring everything up well, because I tend to miss some of the milk powder in the bottom of the jar. I really like using this dairy milk powder because it mixes up so much more easily than the protein powder or the coconut milk powder. Those both leave a lot more clumps, and I usually use a whisk. But with this, I'm able to just use the spoon, and it works great. So you can see the beautiful color. Those raspberries are starting to bleed into the liquid. I'm just going to, so that's stirred. Now what you have to do with chia seed pudding is you give it an initial stir, and then you let it set for 5 minutes, and then you stir it one more time, and that just helps keep those chia seeds from clumping up in one little clump, because you want them evenly distributed. So I'm going to go ahead and let this set for 5 minutes. I'm going to give it one more stir, and then I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to stick it in the fridge. And you want to refrigerate it for several hours to overnight. I like to put these together
the night before and then have them in the morning. But you could do just a few hours if you needed to. Beautiful thing about this is that you can adjust it to your desires. If you want it creamier, you can add more of the milk powder. If you want it less creamy, you can add less. You can add more or less sweetener. You can change the fruits. You can do any type of fruit you wanted. And you could add extra seasonings if you wanted. I am going to put a little more water in this because once I stirred it, I can see that it went down a little bit further below where those threads begin. You can see it is already starting to thicken a little bit. I'm just giving it its final stir, and then it's going to go in the fridge for a few hours. And now with a little cooking show magic, I can show you what it looks like when it's all done. You can see it's thickened up and the berries have started to kind of just come apart. So they mix all throughout the pudding. This is pretty thick. This is how I like mine, but a little bit thinner. If you wanted yours a little bit thinner, you just use a little bit less seeds or a little bit more water when you add the water. You can see how really nicely the chia seeds thicken. So something else you can do with chia seeds and these freeze-dried raspberries is you can actually make a raspberry chia seed jam where you don't need any pectin or anything like that. But this is super delicious and super, super healthy. So good.
And you could even, like, when that's done, you could even put more just dry fruit on the top to make it like a chia bowl or some like coconut shreds or anything like that. You could fancy it up, and it's super yummy, but it's so healthy. It feels really good. And I like that I can throw together like a whole row of those jars, and I could do different flavors, different fruits. And then just whenever I want one, I can put the water in, stick it in the fridge, and have it for breakfast or dessert or snack or anything like that. And I had to chime in about Cindy. It made me think with the refried beans. One reason I love those refried beans and some of the other products, she said her whole family loves refried beans, so they do that. Well, in my family, I have one child who likes refried beans, and that's it. So if I open like a can of refried beans for her, because I've never made them from scratch myself, but if I open up a can, then she uses a little bit, and I've either got to make her eat bean burritos for a week straight or they are going to go bad. So with the refried beans, what I love about them is that you can just make a little teeny amount if that's all you need for refried beans. And we use the tomato sauce powder, the spaghetti sauce powder the same way if you've got one kid who wants. So that's one thing I love about some of the products. Like you can just use the amount that you need and then not worry about the rest going bad.
I love that. That's awesome. And I love that you talked about being prepared because it really does give you peace of mind knowing that you have what you need on hand. And you can make a fresh bowl. Like all of that stuff looks so fresh at the end, but it started just from the cans, all dry. So I love that. You made something look so yummy, and your camera to be able to see it so close is like awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And someone had mentioned in the comments, I noticed, about wanting the recipes. We will try and get these recipes and post them in our personal pages so that all of you can get them. So you can go to whoever page, whoever invited you, go to their page or whatever. I think we all have pages. And then we'll post recipes there so that everyone can get that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that. Awesome. So we now have a testimonial from Kathryn Bazoyan. She's been using the food for a while, and we're going to hear from her. So Kathryn, if you can unmute, you could share your testimonial with us today. And it's just at the bottom left-hand side of your screen should be the unmute.
Go.
There you go.
No, you can hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, and we can see all your
Okay.
behind you.
I'm really pleased to be here today. I have to say that. And I can just say amen to everything that has been said so far about the wonderful qualities of Thrive Life. The convenience, and for me, it's especially the nutrition. Sorry, I get sentimental about something. I think about the many times that I have tasted carrots that didn't taste like carrots anymore, and onions that got soft and had to be thrown away. So many things that have proved to be difficult. In my stage of life right now, I'm 80, I'll be 83 in a few more days. And I have, I'm handicapped. I hate to use that word, but it's the truth. I have an amputated leg. And so have, I have things that are not convenient anymore. I have to be able to handle being in a chair or being able to stand on one leg instead of two. And sometimes I can work with my prosthetic and have two, but it's challenging. And so transportation is challenging. I can't always run to the store when I would like to be able to do that. And I have problems in my apartment, which I'm now able to have, which I couldn't initially after my amputation. I was living in a single room for over a year. But I now, but I have limited space in my apartment. And so it's challenging to be able to have enough room for everything that you need. And to have things at your fingertips has been really hard. And I can't, in my cupboards, I can't reach anything on the top shelves. And I'm not allowed to stand on ladders or chairs or stools. So that's been a challenge for me. So I got really excited recently, after I've been thinking about it for a while, that I needed to put my Thrive products into smaller containers. And I'm going to show you my cupboard. Can you see? Now the little jars are just on the bottom shelf, and they go in front of other things. I don't know how well you can see that.
See that, Kathryn? It looks great.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll move my head. On the bottom shelf, there's a small container. Some of them are just in the pantry cans, but a lot of them too in the jars. Because getting around from the stove to what I want to put in the pots and pans can be a job just by itself. And so this is exciting for me. And I haven't had much time since I did that to actually be using them all. And when I was watching how you were putting your things together, I thought, yes, that's the job. And when I have a corner cupboard in my kitchen that I try to keep all my baking things in, my blender is right handy. My mixer is sitting on one end of my stove, so that I can have things handy dandy. I only use 2 burners on my stove. So, but the products themselves are so wonderful that it really enhances the process of making things. And I really have appreciated that so much.
That's wonderful, Kathryn. Thank you so much.
I would like to tell you more, but I think amen to all of the wonderful things that have been already expressed about the project is really wonderful, and I would like to do that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so
Any
much.
questions?
That's great, Kathryn. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I love that you have downsized some of your big cans into smaller cans, easier for you to reach, and you could see everything that you have. It looks amazing, and I appreciate you taking the time to share that with us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now that we have went over all of those great recipes, that's so exciting, we're going to tell you just a little bit about ways that you can get this food into your own home. Now, we have what's called a delivery service. Now, this delivery service is is really easy. It's like you have your own little account. You purchase what you want when you want to. It's all online, and then it ships directly to you. And if you happen to purchase $100 or more in your order, you qualify for free shipping, which is a bonus. Also, you get the wholesale pricing when you order through the delivery, so you're getting a great deal. Plus, we mentioned our monthly specials that we cooked with today. There's always different monthly specials that you can choose from, and that can save you just a little bit more. So we love that we have those options. And now I told you we would go over 5 reasons why Thrive will help make your life better. We talked about convenience and the quality and nutrition of the food. We talked a little bit about waste and how there's way less waste because you don't have to worry about fresh produce going bad. It just sits on your pantry shelf waiting for you to use it. We talked about the shelf life and how there's a 25-year shelf life, which gives you that peace of mind. And we also have what's called being a consultant and making some money. You can do this. Anybody could do this. We have different consultant starter kits if that's an option that you would like. It's $40 for a starter kit. And with that, you get like 20% kickback for the first few months, which is great in free product as well as commissions. We also have added packages that you could choose from, which is $100 or $200 discounted package to really get you started with the food. Now, when I first started, I only purchased a consultant starter kit because I knew I wanted to get the best price and I wanted that kickback for myself. Well, I was at a soccer game with my kids. My kids were always active with sports, and so I always had my trusty Thrive snacks with me. Now, at the time when I started, it was kind of like astronaut food, kids. It was like this cool new crunchy veggies that wasn't very popular like it is now. Well, at this soccer game, of course, kids are always hungry, so I pulled out my snacks, and kids were coming and snacking, and then my kids would run off and then bring friends, and they would want to try this food too and snack and then do this. Anyways, I had all of these kids around me snacking on this cool new food that then one of the moms came to me and she's like, what's drawing all this attention? Why do you have all these kids around you? So I showed her what it was that I was giving the kids. It was some strawberries and some crunchy little bits of yogurt. And she was like, this is so cool. She tasted it. She's like, I know so many people that would love this. Would you do a party for me? So I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I didn't even have to sell the food. All I did was use the food. My kids were eating the food, and it kind of sold itself for me that day. And I was able to get a party from that. Now, I wasn't planning on doing the business, but it has evolved through the years to become that for me. And it's been great to be able to have that income and have it pay for my groceries every month. It was awesome. Even if you just want to do a little or a lot, you choose what you want because it's your own business. So if that's something that interests you, making money is our 5th and awesome way of being able to help make your life better. So if you're interested in that, you could go back to the person that invited you here and talk to them more about that. So I went over the 5 reasons. Now make sure this portion of the cooking show is finished, but if you're new, we are going to be opening it up to questions. I will just stop the recording in just a minute here. We will open it up to questions and then do a draw because a few of you are going to win some free product. So I'll just quickly stop this recording right now.